Live from KSAT 12. The 6 o'clock news starts right now.
And we start this evening with the weather out there. Parts of our area seeing some rain already, but more is expected throughout the week.
Yeah, and I guess beggars can't be choosers, but we'd like a little more. Let's check in with meteorologist Sarah Spivey to tell us what we are seeing right now and what we can expect. Sarah.
Thanks, Steve and Myra. Yeah, we definitely would like a little bit more than what we're seeing right now, because all we're seeing right now around San Antonio is just some light rain, making things a little bit slick on the roads out there right now this evening. But some light rain from SeaWorld, John Jay High School area up to Castle Hills, north of downtown. And then we've seen some light rain since about 4 o'clock around San Antonio. You can see that really all of the thunderstormy action right now is across parts of southern Wilson County into Karnes County, right near Falls City. Plenty of flashes of lightning with this storm, but this storm is moving northeast at about 20 miles per hour, so it's not going to impact the San Antonio area, but it could impact Gonzales County. However, you look to the south and to the west, you can see there's some more storm development out there toward Cotulla, and later on tonight we could see some more storms, especially after midnight. Outside right now, 77 degrees, breezy with those winds from the east-southeast at 15, and tonight we'll be seeing a few showers through about 10 p.m., but then after midnight, that's when storms could become more likely, and we'll continue to see storms possible through Wednesday morning. I've got a look ahead and an updated look at the radar coming up. Steve.
Thank you, Sarah. The foul smell of what was believed to be a decomposing body led instead to the discovery of 4 children and their parents living in rancid conditions.
And tonight, those children are now staying with other family members, and their parents are in jail. Our Patty Santos live on the northeast side, where investigators uncovered this. And Patty, these are some disgusting images.
Yeah, that family of 6 was found to be living up there on the second floor of this apartment complex. Take a look what it looks like inside the apartment at the Palm Tree Apartments off of Montgomery Drive. Investigators found a dog and human feces, rodents, and rooms full of trash. The parents, a couple in their 30s, were inside the house too when deputies arrived today. Deputies say the woman works at a local hospital. The children seem to be in overall good health. According to deputies, physical abuse was not suspected. They are between 2 to 13 years old.
The investigators that are pretty seasoned investigators that are used to dealing with things as bad as decomposing bodies said this is one of the worst they've ever seen, and the smell was just horrendous.
And tonight, those children have been placed under the care of other family members. This investigation now involves BCSO and Child Protective Services. Coming up tonight on the Night Beat, you're going to hear from a neighbor who describes what the scene like was around this apartment. We'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Patty. Governor Greg Abbott stopping by Eagle Pass today on what would have been the deadline to end the immigration policy known as Title 42.
Yeah, our crews were there as the governor discussed additional resources he says are needed at the border.
Our Alicia Barrera is live in Eagle Pass this evening. All right, Alicia, Title 42 still in place thanks to a judge's ruling last week, but we understand there are changes still to come.
Yes, Governor Greg Abbott says that he'll continue to fight the Biden administration, and he plans on doing that by adding more border barriers. So here in Eagle Pass, what that's expected to look like is going to be more of that razor wire, more signage, as well as more boats. And today he met privately with some local officials as well, and those include Eagle Pass Mayor Rolando Salinas, as well as Chief of Police Federico Garza Jr., and Representative Eddie Morales was here as well. But the big focus was that border tour. Governor Abbott says the state and local agencies are increasing efforts immediately to make it harder for people to cross from Mexico into the U.S. Texas National Guard says they will add boats that can go into shallow water, and this is a way to prevent groups from crossing over, as here in Eagle Pass we have seen that there are areas where these undocumented immigrants are just able to walk across. Another tactic is working with authorities in Mexico for what they call mirror operations. So whatever they do here in Texas, they plan to do on the Mexican side. Texas National Guard says they're working with DPS to train those Mexican officers on how to properly install the razor wire. But here's what the governor's plan is for the Texas side.
Part of our goal is to put down more razor wire to make sure that we're filling any gap that would prevent people from crossing across the border into that particular location. You can expect more trespassing or do not trespass signs go up, so that we will be able to employ the strategy that we have of arresting people and taking them to jail.
That idea of the trespassing signs, we're told, comes from the chief of police here in Eagle Pass. And since its enforcement back in March of 2020 of Title 42, Customs and Border Protection have been given authority to automatically turn migrants away at the border as a way to help stop the spread of COVID. However, large groups have still made their way through, and we just saw it this weekend, which is why Governor Abbott says he'll continue to enforce the other policy, which is busing migrants all the way to D.C. So far, 45 buses have made it to D.C. And again, he says he plans to continue doing that. And when it comes to local officials, they say that they're overwhelmed. And once again, they're reiterating, they're inviting the president to make his way over here to see the situation at the border firsthand. In Eagle Pass, Alicia Barrera, KSAT 12 News.
All right, thank you, Alicia. Now, the arguments for and against Title 42 are complex. The roots of that provision also not widely known by most people. Well, coming up at 6:30, we're going to explain where Title 42 comes from and what some who live and work along the border believe will happen when and if it's actually lifted. KSAT Explains is coming up at 6:30.
The numbers keep rising, but not necessarily for COVID-19. We're talking about the number of monkeypox cases in the U.S. and abroad. It's growing. And now the CDC is taking notice. Today, it announced areas of concern and even a vaccination plan. Ursula Perry now with more on what you should know about this new health concern and why you should not be overly alarmed.
6 cases of the monkeypox virus being investigated in the U.S., but take comfort in knowing the U.S. government has already ordered $119 million worth of vaccine for smallpox, which also works on monkeypox.
I think the WHO declared it eradicated in the wild back in 1980. So that is also good. The other is that we have in many countries stocks of smallpox vaccine. Now, they're not in huge quantities. I think they would have to be more manufactured if this were a global scale issue.
This version circulating around is not as deadly as, say, the version found in the Congo in Africa. The symptoms include fever, chills, headache, muscle weakness, swelling in the lymph nodes, fatigue, just like any flu, including COVID. It's got the potential for pneumonia, but also a rash, then lesions.
2 or 3 days after, you start getting symptoms, and they're pustular rashes, and they occur all over your body in a certain distribution.
The good news, even if you have it, there are drugs to treat you for that too.
There are certain antiviral therapies that could be useful against it to shorten the duration or prevent severe illness from occurring.
This afternoon, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announced an alert that monkeypox appears to be spreading mainly in the gay and bisexual communities globally. However, they're saying that doctors and patients need to be on the lookout for lesions regardless of their sexual orientation, since monkeypox can spread through body fluids, close contact, prolonged contact, and even through contaminated linens. Ursula Perry, KSAT 12 News.
After 5 hours of deliberation, it was a not guilty verdict for a man on trial for capital murder. Eduardo Torres no longer facing life in prison. He was accused of being the getaway driver in the murder of a 21-year-old man. Erica Hernandez with how his defense was able to win this case.
During closing arguments today, defense attorneys wanting to make sure the jury understood that Eduardo Torres had nothing to do with the crime. That crime, the robbery and shooting death of 21-year-old Nathan Valdez. Valdez was walking near a bus stop off South Presa when he was robbed and shot by Torres' brother Leonard, who has since taken a plea deal in this case.
You have the power within your hands to convict a man to life without parole, but you do not have the power to convict the killer. That has not been placed within your hands. Instead, the killer gets special treatment for throwing his brother under the bus.
The special prosecutor on the case tried to show the jury it didn't matter what role Eduardo Torres had, he was still just as responsible.
You heard a lot of evidence. And at the end of the day, there's only one ultimate conclusion you can come to. There's no reasonable doubt in this case that Eduardo is guilty of capital murder.
In the end, that argument didn't matter, and Eduardo Torres was found not guilty. Meanwhile, his brother Leonard will be sentenced on a later date, and that plea deal is for 45 years. He must serve half before eligible for parole. Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
And now Eduardo Torres still has another case to worry about. He and his brother were also charged with aggravated robbery in an incident that took place 2 weeks after that murder. A court date for that has not yet been scheduled. For those candidates who could not secure all the votes they needed to win a nomination back on May 7th, tomorrow is going to be a big day for them.
Yeah, that's right, because tomorrow is the Texas primary runoff election, more than a dozen runoff races. But among the key races we're going to be watching closely here at KSAT, Bexar County Judge. Candidates will be vying for Judge Nelson Wolf's position, who decided not to run for re-election. Democratic candidates will face off in that runoff. Congressional District 28, which covers a large portion of the southern Texas-Mexico border area. Both Democrats and Republican candidates have runoffs. And lastly, Texas Attorney General. Now, if you scan this QR code, it'll take you to all the Election Day information you need to know, like what you need to vote, a list of polling locations, and details of each race. The polls open at 7 a.m., close at 7 p.m.
Now, with a legal battle expected over Title 42, there is still plenty of explaining to do about its impact on immigration. How it's been implemented so far, still ahead in KSAT Explains.
Pfizer setting its goals on kids 5 and under. Hear about the timeline they gave for a potential 3-dose vaccine for kids.
Let's take a look at traffic out there during the 6 o'clock commute. This is I-35 north at Loop 410. Slow going there on both the access roads and the lanes down below. No real traffic tie-ups that we know about. Looks like I-35 north at 6 o'clock.
KSAT 12 celebrates Military City, USA, powered by USAA.
San Antonio has been called Military City, USA for its different career training at Joint Base San Antonio-Lackland. And here at the Career Enlisted Aviator Center of Excellence is where the United States Air Force flight attendants learn the fundamentals of serving the President on Air Force One.
We are training future flight attendants who will be going off to fly with our nation's top leaders, to include the Vice President, Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, flying anywhere and everywhere. Obviously, our main job is safety on the aircraft.
The aircrew are required to learn all aircraft emergency procedures, plus proper etiquette while flying around the world with our top leaders.
It is imperative that we are teaching them to pay attention to details. Something so small could set a mission back. We don't want our users to be late to meetings, so we harp on manners, etiquette, and protocol, teaching them to be professional, since they will be in front of some of our nation's most important leaders.
I'm Stefania Jimenez, and here's what we're working on for you tonight on the Night Beat, honoring our nation's fallen heroes in Military City, USA. We'll talk about the group that's continuing a Memorial Day tradition in San Antonio and how you can help make it happen. Also preparing for a potential COVID surge, the data that one local expert is pointing to as a possible sign. We'll see you for these stories and more tonight on the Night Beat.
See you then. Thank you, Steph. Well, despite school coming to an end, SAISD making sure their students have enough food to give them the energy they need to enjoy the summer. That's the idea, anyway. The free Seamless Summer Feeding Program begins June 6th. Free breakfast and lunch will be given out to anyone 18 and younger. Also to enrolled students with disabilities up to 21. Breakfast will be free from 7:30 to 8:30 in the morning, lunch from 11 a.m. to noon. The program lasts until July 29th. For a list of school locations to get those meals, go to our website, ksat.com.
Let's take a look outside with live cam this evening. Some parts of the area getting some rain. And if you're disappointed, hoping for more, well, we've got some more chances.
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff rumbling out there. Sarah Spivey joins us now. Sarah.
Yeah, thank you, Steve and Myra. And the big picture is that we do have storms possible through Wednesday morning. So here's what you should plan for. You should plan for rounds of storms possible through Wednesday morning. As far as rainfall amounts go, we're looking at widespread 1/2 inch to an inch and a half, but there will be pockets of 2+ inches of rain. Now, with these rounds of storms, there's going to be a few things that we're going to be watching for. Severe wind gusts, quarter-sized hail, and some minor flooding issues. But outside right now, it's really just some light rain around San Antonio, and really only some parts of San Antonio at that. Take a look across the northwest portion of the county there, just some light rain. And then as you can see across Karnes County, southeast of San Antonio, we do have a thunderstorm that is moving to the north and to the east. I'm going to go ahead and put this on pause. And this is the stronger part of the storm right now, working through northern Karnes County. You can see plenty of lightning strikes there with that. There could even be some small hail, P2 nickel-sized hail. It's moving to the northeast at about 20 miles per hour. And although there are not a ton of towns in these areas, I want to show you when the strongest part of this storm will be working its way into Gonzales County here. So it'll be near Westhoff by about 7 o'clock this evening. Again, that is the only really stronger storm in the area that we're seeing. Otherwise, just some light rain for northwestern Bexar County, Hollywood Park, all the way out to the Clark High School area, up toward Leon Springs and out west towards SeaWorld. A wider view here, and we'll go ahead and put this in motion. You can see near Pearsall, there's some moderate rain moving along I-35. This is also moving to the northeast, so showers and storms are continue to be possible through the early evening hours. But really, the main show will probably be later tonight in the overnight hours. I'm switching right now over to the radar that's closer to Del Rio, so you can see that across Edwards County, there's a cluster of storms here that's pushing off to the east. And over in Mexico, there's some more development. So as I've been saying, this is just one of the rounds of showers and storms that's going to be possible late tonight after midnight. Chance for some scattered thunderstorms moving through. Isolated on Tuesday, but once again, Tuesday night, a much better chance for widespread showers and storms, and that'll trickle into Wednesday morning. Let's take a look at the satellite and radar so that we can see the big picture across the state of Texas. There is a trough of low pressure over Mexico right now, and as you can see, it's firing off rounds of thunderstorms. And the motion of these thunderstorms, although it's generally to the east, they develop in kind of random patterns. So that's why it's difficult to really nail down timing. But we know that all of the ingredients are there for rain, including on Tuesday night and Wednesday morning with this trough of low pressure up in parts of the Rockies right now. Here's your high-res futurecast. This is tonight after 10 p.m. You can see that line of storms developing. This is one possibility. It could be pushing into San Antonio through early tomorrow morning. Parts of the morning commute could be dampened spots, so please tune in for the forecast tomorrow morning as well. And then by the afternoon, a lull in activity, but one or two isolated storms are possible. Then by Tuesday night, there's that front that's going to move through and provide a good chance for widespread showers and storms Tuesday night into Wednesday. Again, anywhere from Austin out toward Del Rio, we could see some healthy rainfall across south central Texas. That'll come to an end on Wednesday and will dry out not only for Wednesday, but for the remainder of the week as well. So here's your Tuesday forecast. A few thunderstorms possible early in the morning, isolated in the afternoon, 85 for the high, and then overnight storms are likely with that front. Let's take a look at the rest of the 7-day forecast. Better rain chances Tuesday night with that front, as I mentioned, overnight. We'll only be near 80 on Wednesday as skies start to clear. Then we ramp up the heat for Memorial Day weekend. Highs will be in the mid-90s. Steve and Myra.
We got plenty to watch this week. Thanks, Sarah.
A lot going on. All right. Meanwhile, an interview that we brought you on Friday really kind of taking on a life of its own, Greg.
Yeah, it did, because we posted it, of course, on our website. Now, a lot more eyes have been on it, and Jimbo Fisher with his breaking news he brought us on Friday. If you haven't seen the interview, we'll run a portion of that for you coming up here in just a few minutes. And what a comeback. If you like comebacks, this is the greatest one I've ever seen in golf coming up. Our exclusive interview with the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, Jimbo Fisher, is making national news today. That's after it aired on instant replay last night. During the interview, Fisher defended the Aggies 2022 recruiting class with new information after Alabama head coach Nick Saban claimed that the Aggies bought every player in the nation's top recruiting class, beating out the Crimson Tide. In the interview conducted Friday at the Whitty Museum before he spoke to the San Antonio A&M Club at their annual Coaches Night, Fisher dropped this bombshell on us.
And I just researched this. Of the 11 guys we have in placing that came early, one guy has an NIL deal.
Really?
Yes.
Just one?
Just one. So all these stories you're hearing are complete lies.
Well, now, what happened over the last 48 hours?
Nothing, and it never happened before. Because it was written on social media, and it started with the Bro Bible sliced bread deal.
Right.
So everybody believed it. And Nick, all the people obviously believed it. I went and checked with our compliance people because we have nothing to do with it. One guy.
Of the 11?
Yes. Of the early enrollees. Of the early enrollees.
Gotcha. So that said, what is all this dust up about then?
Great point.
I've just got to ask you, were you shocked that this came up because you just told me you had one?
I said that about a while ago. It's like, that's why I made the original one back in February when they said we had $35 million in the thing. That's all false. It was written on social media so everybody believes it.
Now, to see the complete part of our interview with Jimbo Fisher, just go to ksat.com/instant replay page.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
Former Texas A&M quarterback Kyler Murray is not reporting for the Arizona Cardinals' organized team activities this week. That's according to ESPN today. Murray, who played for the Aggies for one season before transferring to Oklahoma, where he eventually won the Heisman Trophy and was the #1 overall pick in 2019 NFL Draft. Murray wants a new long-term contract after the Cardinals exercised the fifth-year option on his deal that will pay him $29 million this season. The organized team activities this week are voluntary. Our San Antonio Spurs unveiled 3 new logos prior to their 50th anniversary celebration this coming season and to solidify their home here in San Antonio. The first is called the Texas Alternate logo, which connects fans across the globe to the heart of the Spurs home. The second is a shorthand for San Antonio, which highlights the Spurs hometown, the region, and the state in just 4 letters. And finally, the Spurs Basketball Alternate logo, which is a classic badge that adds a local edge to the Spurs on-court look. According to the Spurs, this will help broaden the team's brand and help commemorate their 50th anniversary celebration this coming season. Congratulations goes out to Justin Thomas, who came from behind to win the PGA Championship at the Southern Hills Country Club in Tulsa on Sunday. Thomas entered the day 7 strokes back and pulled within a stroke of the leader, thanks in part to this bunker shot on the par 4 17. Thomas was 3 under 67, finished his round at 5 under, putting the pressure on Mito Pieta, who entered the day with a 3-stroke lead on the field, but then melted down on the very last hole, double bogeying the 18 to fall out of contention entirely. He finished tied for 3rd. Will Zalatoris, who's the only one who had a chance to keep pace with Thomas, and he sinks his par putt on 18 to force a 3-hole playoff tied at 5 under. Thomason took the lead thanks to this birdie on the 2nd hole and sunk the par putt on the final hole to secure the victory. Thomas wins his 2nd career PGA Championship and matched the 3rd largest comeback after 54 holes in a major championship history. I got to watch most of that yesterday, and I was on the edge of my seat. I could not believe that happened.
By the way, I like the Spurs alternative logos.
You do?
I
Very
do.
good. I'll pass that along.
Yeah, let them know.
Please do.
If anybody knows anybody, let them know. A nearly 80,000-pound batch of baby formula working its way to be distributed nationwide. How many kids this will help and when more will arrive?
And we have talked about it a lot this month. Title 42. So how did this get started and why? We explain it all in KSAT Explains. Up next. Today was supposed to be the day that a controversial immigration policy ended, but on Friday, a federal judge in Louisiana blocked the Biden administration from ending Title 42.
It is a public health provision that allows Customs and Border Protection to reject migrants at the border on the basis of trying to prevent the spread of COVID-19. In early April, the CDC said the policy was no longer needed because of current COVID conditions, vaccines, and treatments.
Now, we've heard about this because of the pandemic, but where did Title 42 come from and what's been its real impact on the border? Here's this week's KSAT Explains.
It started at the height of the pandemic, March of 2020, when the Trump administration enacted Title 42. But it's actually been on the books in America for nearly 80 years. It's part of the Public Health Service Act signed by FDR in 1944, toward the end of World War II. The intent of Title 42 was to suspend entries and imports from designated places to prevent the spread of communicable diseases. Tuberculosis was a big public health concern then. The Public Health Service Act also created the National Cancer Institute, but overall, not legislation that was considered major.
It really had rarely been used and had never ever been used in the immigration context.
Until 2020, that's when Title 42 was invoked to essentially suspend immigration at U.S. land borders. It meant that Customs and Border Protection did not have to process people who presented themselves at the border wanting to seek asylum. Instead, they're fingerprinted and expelled from the U.S. That's not the same as deportation. When someone is deported, they're barred from re-entering the country for a certain number of years. Expulsion doesn't carry that penalty. What happens after someone is expelled depends on where they're from.
If they're from Mexico or Central America, they're typically just sent right back to Mexico within a matter of hours. If they're from another country where Mexican immigration is not going to allow them to simply be put back, then they're temporarily held in CBP custody. There were people who were being held in hotels until essentially a plane is filled up and then people are flown out.
That's what we saw play out in Del Rio in September 2021. Nearly 16,000 migrants from Haiti crossed into the U.S. hoping to seek asylum, fleeing a country in upheaval after the assassination of the Haitian president and a devastating earthquake. It became a humanitarian crisis in Del Rio. Thousands of people living in makeshift shelters under a bridge with few supplies and resources. It's exactly what the mayor of Laredo is concerned about with the ending of Title 42.
Currently, as we speak, there's over 3,000 Haitians in Nuevo Laredo, our sister city. Obviously, that's going to take a long time, and I don't know whether these folks will get frustrated like they did in Del Rio and would want to come all at once.
Mayor Pete Sine says Customs and Border Protection needs more resources to handle an increase in migrants. CBP plans to add 600 agents to the border as Title 42 ends. Homeland Security will also increase the capacity of federal holding centers from 12,000 to 18,000 and vaccinate those in federal custody. But a big question surrounding preparations for the end of Title 42, will it all be enough? In March of this year, the Border Patrol facility in Eagle Pass was at capacity, so CBP announced it would begin releasing migrants into Dimmitt County who'd been processed and cleared through background checks.
Could be 10, could be 50, could be 150.
Title 42 was still in effect then, allowing migrants to automatically be turned away at the border. So why was an immigrant detention facility so full? In part, Erica Schomer says, because the use of Title 42 has been inconsistent.
Some of them are detained, some of them are released. And so that is also a concern because it appears to be very arbitrary who is rejected and who is allowed to make a claim.
To make an asylum claim, you must be physically present in the U.S. You can't start the process online or even at a U.S. embassy. Once a migrant claims asylum, the next step is what's called a credible fear interview. That's when an asylum officer decides whether a person merits going through the full asylum process. Fear is something Jamie Solis is fleeing. Our Alicia Barrera met Jamie and her 3-year-old daughter at the Catholic Charities Respite Center in McAllen. They came to the U.S. from Nicaragua to escape political oppression and violence.
Ahí es terrible, ahí está bien reprimido, no puedes decir nada porque ya te echan la policía. No puedes expresarte bien, tenés que andar siempre con ese miedo.
She was one of the lucky ones who wasn't turned away. And then there's Yamari Gonzalez Vasquez from Cuba. What he fears, he says, is hunger in his home country.
Si estamos pidiendo asilo para tener un mejor futuro, para un futuro para el bebé, para nosotros mismos también, que tenga todo lo que un cubano no puede tener.
That is all that we've been advocating for, right? Allow people to apply for asylum. It doesn't mean they get to stay. It just means give them a chance to apply, and if they qualify, they get to stay. If they don't qualify, they may be deported. And Title 42 gets rid of all of that.
But there are those who enter the U.S. illegally who don't seek asylum, whether frustrated with too slow a process at the southern border or simply hoping to evade immigration authorities.
I do find people that are lost. Okay.
Richard Guetta owns La Anacua Ranch in Starr County, outside Roma, several thousand acres just north of the border. He's seen firsthand what migrants often go through trying to make the dangerous journey into the U.S.
They have been abandoned. Whoever brought them across abandoned them. And they told them, well, it's just a short distance and you're going to be in Houston, right? But of course, that's not true. It's so hard to see people enduring things like that, you know.
His fences have been damaged by migrants who cross his lands. Even his livelihood, his cattle, have been affected. But a concern that spreads beyond his ranch, he says, is drug smuggling.
You know, there's a lot of narcotics coming across. The National Guard is out there to supplement the Border Patrol, and even so, they can't control it. So it's out of hand. By removing Title 42, you're going to add to an existing burden.
Yet some argue the anticipated wave of migrants is a problem that U.S. policy created.
Because of Title 42, that's the reason why we have the levels and activities that we see right now.
The numbers are arguably higher right now precisely because we've been pushing people back for more than 2 years.
Let's look at the numbers from Customs and Border Protection for fiscal year 2022 so far. That's October 1st, 2021 to May 17th of this year. CBP has rejected people 1.2 million times at the southern border. More than half of those rejections were Title 42 expulsions. But these stats reflect the number of times a person has tried to cross the border, not the number of people, because the same person can try more than once. It can be confusing and complicated, much like the American immigration system itself. Despite calls again and again for reform, substantial change continues to be a struggle. For now, we'll see what a change in Title 42 brings to Texas.
I think that it is going to be very chaotic depending on what decisions are issued by which courts regarding what policies.
Now, to watch any episode of KSAT Explains, just scan this QR code you see here. That will take you straight to ksat.com/explains, where you can watch those shows on demand. Look for a new episode next week, right here at 6:30.
It is a very complicated process when you talk about immigration and the Texas-Mexico border.
Yes, it is.
All right, a huge step forward in relief for parents affected by the baby formula shortage. But is it enough? What we're seeing around the nation.
And with the possibility of another fall and winter surge coming, health advocates are pushing for more COVID vaccines for kids. The potential timeline for a 3-dose vaccine. For the first time, we're hearing a potential timeline for when the youngest age group will be eligible for the COVID vaccine. Pfizer saying 3 doses of its COVID vaccine are 80% effective at preventing symptomatic COVID infection in children 6 months to 5 years old. Each shot will be 1/10 of the adult dose. Emergency use authorization could come as early as this summer if all goes as planned. This is nearly every state sees a rise in new infections, pediatric cases included.
In just a few days, more than 9,000 babies in the U.S. could have the formula they need now that Operation Fly formula is in motion. Over the weekend, nearly 80,000 pounds of formula arrived. Now a second round of fly-in formula expected to land outside of Washington, D.C. later this week. Many worry it won't come fast enough as the shortage becomes more dire nationwide. 4 babies in South Carolina, the latest children recently hospitalized as a result of the shortage, along with 10 states and Washington, D.C. reporting more than half of their supply is gone.
Look outside right now with live cam. We've got some rain out there as we speak, and we are waiting on more, Sarah.
That's right. We're waiting on more rain chances in the forecast through Wednesday, and they're going to come in rounds. So even if you don't get as much rain as you want tonight, you have until Wednesday. We've got some light rain working across the northern section of Bexar County, right along 281. Some showers pushing northeast from Pearsall, and even some thunderstorms for Gonzales and Karnes County. Outside right now, some raindrops on the camera at 77. There's some very light rain in places around the airport. Coming up in the forecast, we're going to talk about how late tonight in the overnight hours, showers and storms become more likely. And of course, we'll cover the chance for rain through Wednesday as well. Coming up in a bit.
All right, we're seeing some rain out there, kind of more nuisance rain, at least in San Antonio, that we're seeing right now. But Sarah, how is it timing out some of these storms? Kind of unpredictable, it seems.
Well, there's no real immediate forcing to allow for storms to develop up in the vertical and spread out. So that's why the storm motion is kind of random. But we do have a lot in the weather pattern through Wednesday morning that is going to continue to bring us rounds of rainfall. And that's the key word I'm going to use there, rounds of rainfall, right? It's not going to rain all day, every day, but at certain points of the day from tonight through Wednesday morning, there is the potential for some rain. And even right now, we're getting some light rain across parts of Bexar County. We'll go ahead and zoom in to a neighborhood view here. North of San Antonio along 281 up toward the Clark High School area, Hollywood Park along 281. There is some light rain that's pushing through the airport right now, but really the winners are across areas in Wilson, Karnes, Gonzales County. There's this storm that's pushing into DeWitt County as well. It's not severe. There's a lot of lightning with it, but it's not severe, and it's moving northeast at about 25 miles per hour. Then off to the west here, rather, we've got some showers out near Pearsall along 35, and this same system is going to be moving up to the north and east towards San Antonio. It's going to keep some showers in the forecast through the evening, and as we look across areas in LaSalle County, just south of Cotulla there, we've got a severe thunderstorm warning as the storm is pushing across areas along 35. This is until 7:30, and it's likely for some quarter-sized hail that's moving just to the south of Cotulla. So Cotulla proper, you're not going to be affected by this storm, but anywhere from Cotulla all the way down south into Webb County has the risk there for some quarter-sized hail as that storm pushes off to the east. But again, that's the only severe storm that we have out there. If I'm being honest with you, the severe weather threat is really looking like it's diminishing for the evening, which is good news for us. And as we look west, there's really not as much development out there out west as we would like to see for the overnight hours, but there still is the potential for some scattered showers and storms. As I've been looking at things, we look out to the west and you can see here it's fairly quiet. There are some thunderstorms across parts of Mexico, but the good news is we continue to see rain chances in the forecast through Wednesday morning because of this trough of low pressure producing some severe thunderstorms right now across the Panhandle. This is going to be bringing us better rain chances Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. So let me take you through the high-res futurecast. This particular model does bring a line of storms approaching San Antonio in the overnight hours, but watch, it kind of falls apart as it moves to the east towards San Antonio. It does leave a few thunderstorms in the forecast early tomorrow morning, potentially into the early morning commute. Again, we're going to be watching this carefully. Again, rounds of rainfall are possible, some of which could be strong, but I think the severe weather threat is really diminishing for the overnight hours for us. So that's some good news there, but we really could use the rain. During the day today, tomorrow rather, we have a chance for isolated showers and storms, but only 30%. We're going to have a lull in the activity, and then the real forcing that I was talking about earlier in the form of a cold front, that's going to be moving through Tuesday night into Wednesday. And again, notice how this model really does a good job of showing how much rain could fall along that front Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. And then because of the nature of those storms, we would have to watch out for some gusty winds and some isolated hail as well. But tomorrow, Tuesday, mostly quiet, a few storms possible in the morning, isolated storms possible during the day, 85 degrees for the high temperature. Overnight storms are likely Tuesday night into Wednesday, and so there you can see the much better chance for rain is Tuesday night into Wednesday at the time of this forecast. Again, because of the nature of this forecast, the random nature of this forecast, you're going to want to check in with the forecast every day. Yeah. And we'll have you updated on air, online, and on the KSAT Weather Authority app. Hey, Memorial Day weekend, it's going to be hot, going to be dry, 95 degrees.
Not triple digits, though.
Mm-hmm. Not triple digits.
That's something. Thank you, Sarah.
In case you missed it, coming up next.
Jury now deliberating a capital murder trial. Eduardo Torres, accused of taking part in the 2016 robbery and shooting death of 21-year-old Nathan Valdez. We also have an update on a woman who was shot and killed by a San Antonio police officer over the weekend. The woman is now identified as 51-year-old Janet Silva. The officer who fired the shot that killed her identified as Corey Russell. According to SAPD, they were called for a disturbance with Silva, who was armed with a knife. She was reportedly fighting with her boyfriend, and at some point, while being confronted by police officers, she refused to drop the weapon, and that's when Officer Russell fired.
According to the governor, is that not only does he want to increase the quantity of the border barriers that we do see in cities like Eagle Pass, but also the quality. Started with an aerial tour. He and others viewed the barbed wire and also the shipping containers on the border that were installed, as you remember.
Florida becoming the third state to detect a potential case of monkeypox as cases continue to spread across the globe. President Biden saying he doesn't foresee the country enacting the same 21-day quarantine rules implemented in Belgium for people who contract the virus.
San Antonio Spurs unveiled 3 new logos to solidify their home here in San Antonio today. This is part of the Spurs' 50th anniversary celebration that will take place this coming season after moving the Dallas Chaparrals to the Alamo City to become the San Antonio Spurs in 1973. The first is the Texas alternate logo. The second is what is described as a shorthand to the city of San Antonio to highlight our hometown. And finally is a basketball badge, if you will, which adds the local edge to the on-court look.